two-run homer gave him 1,000 RBIs during his 15-year career with the Angels. It was a special day Sunday for Japanese baseball fans. Ichiro Suzuki is the first Japanese-born player to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Suzuki was among 5 players inducted in ceremonies in Cooperstown, New York. The right fielder played 14 of his 19 seasons with Seattle. Suzuki, a 10-time All-Star, won 2 batting titles, 10 gold gloves, and had 3,089 hits. Suzuki still holds the major league record for most hits in a season. He had 262 in 2004. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm very excited about this show today, but before I get to my excitement about our very special guests, I want to opine for a moment about what is taking place in the Gaza. When Stevie Wonder wrote the song Black Man, or when Prince wrote the song America, and or when Ray Charles sang the song America, he never could have imagined, they never could have imagined that the U.S. would be complicit in what is taking place in the Gaza. I believe in Israeli security. I believe Israel has a right to defend herself. But I don't think we can remain silent watching families and children die from starvation. Starvation and not feeding people is not a weapon. It is not an option. Today, the President of the United States, Donald John Trump, to whom I disagree with on 99.9% of all issues, said there is a starvation taking place in the Gaza. And it is impossible for people of conscience to remain silent while it is taking place. We are demanding nations around the world of goodwill to do everything they can to create the conditions for an immediate ceasefire in Israel, in Gaza, in the Middle East, so that food aid, services, medicine, and physicians can get to the Gaza and provide the necessary relief that starving people need. We have not seen a starvation like this since Ethiopia due to natural famine, in Somalia due to civil war. But when first world nations, which have the power to conduct themselves under the rules of conflict, sit idly by and can watch a starvation, something within our moral compass has died. That's all I want to say about that for now. In the second hour with Reverend Teresa Hort Owens on Moving Mountain Mondays, we will talk about that more. But in this hour, my very special, close, and dear friend, Vic Carter, who is the embodiment of a professional journalist with an extraordinary career spanning over 4 decades. Recently, he made the decision to step away from broadcast industry, concluding a remarkable 29-year run as the lead anchor of CBS WJZ and TV in Baltimore, Maryland, where he anchored the top-rated 4, 6, and 11 p.m. newscasts, a testament of his relentless dedication. His departure also marked a milestone of 46 years in television broadcasting. After graduating from Morehead State University in Morehead, Kentucky, he wasted no time launching his career, making his television debut as a reporter just 2 days later. Vic's reporting has taken him to far-reaching places from the jungles of Colombia to Western Africa to communist Cuba and the White House. These global experiences enriched his reporting, giving him unique perspectives that set him apart in his field. Despite worldwide travels, Vic remains deeply connected to the community. His love for art inspired him to create 3 programs aimed at nurturing young talent and encouraging philanthropy. Vic Carter, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse, what a glowing introduction there. Thank you so very much. I could just sit here and listen to you talk about me for a while.
You know what? I would have no problem doing that. But Vic, on this occasion, you have a very special guest that you're bringing forward as well.
Yes, one of the things that I've been doing since I left television, first of all, I saw a need, and that is that we need to elevate people of color who are working in STEM-related fields. This all began when I was sitting at home, like many of you, during COVID, and seeing a number of scientists appearing on air, talking about mutations, talking about health, talking about the pandemic, and very few of the people I saw actually giving us information look like us. And one of the things that traditionally happens, in our neighborhoods is that we are adversely affected by just about anything that comes your way. And so I started a company called SciComm, and that's a place where science matters. And we work with a number of scientists to help them to elevate their voice and their positions, and hopefully encourage a number of other people to consider STEM-related careers. There's a severe misrepresentation or underrepresentation, I should say, of people of color in STEM-related fields. Right now, it's about 9% of the fields of the positions in STEM-related careers are occupied by people of color. And I think we can do much better than that. And the other thing is that a lot of people may not even know about some of the careers that are available. I mean, Jesse, how many Black anthropologists do you know? How many Black people do you know who are working in astrophysics? Or in the case of today, we're very happy to have a marine biologist who is one of the coolest guys on the planet.
Vic,
we're going to bring him on in just a moment. Yes.
When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, Vic Carter is our very special guest, as well as shark expert Gibbs Kuguru. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, coverage. There was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. My very special guest is none other than one of America's finest journalists. And Vic, just before we went to the break, you were sharing with us the importance of bringing forward scientists, Black scientists, and people of color.
Absolutely. And not just Black scientists. I mean, any person of color in the field of STEM is, in many cases, is lacking. You know, there are a number of studies out there right now. One of them quoted in an article by Science News organization, which is a very independent reporting agency. It says that Black STEM students, you know, if you don't mind quoting here, Black STEM students make their way up the academic ladder. They may face learning and research environments that are unsupportive and actively hostile. In a 2018-2019 study by the American Institute of Physics, Black students in physics reported that they commonly experience a lack of financial support, as well as microaggressions, small interactions in which peers or superiors question a person's performance or presence due to racially charged bias. Against that backdrop and the fact that it is a very expensive venture to seek a STEM-related career, and the fact that there may not be a lot of support by people who look like us because they simply aren't there. And so the ones that are out there right now are worth celebrating. One of them I'm so very delighted to have with us here today, coming to us from Holland, a gentleman who does some crazy things, but for a very important reason. What if we could bring in Gibbs Kuguru, who is a geneticist, a marine biologist. He is one of the people on the forefront of studying sharks in so many different ways. I've seen video of this man lowered down into the ocean and actively engaging with sharks. So Gibbs, tell us more about you and what you do.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. And it's such an honor to be here at the show. Thank you also for the introduction, Vic. I'm a shark scientist, and I'm also a National Geographic explorer. And I've been working with sharks for about 13 years now. I hope I can call it my life's work at some stage, but it's given me a lot of challenges and a lot of fulfillment. And at this stage, I think it's I want to get everyone into it. So Vic, I hope next time I can get lowered into the cage with you. Go see some really beautiful sharks.
I was just about to volunteer Jesse for that.
Jesse, you're welcome to come as well.
Hey, I appreciate that, but I just want to share with you as I turn the program back over to Vic. Vic, this is the first African-American, for that matter, shark expert of any type that I've ever met in my life. And he has all of his arms, all of his legs. I mean, wow. If I can just ask one quick question, and then Vic, it's all yours.
Please, no, go ahead.
Brother Gibbs Kuguru, how did you become a shark enthusiast, a shark scientist? Help us with that.
Yeah, this story started in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, where I was studying at John Brown for my medical degree, and quickly realized that not only wasn't I good at it, I didn't enjoy it very much. So my study advisor at the time, Dr. Wakefield, who was also very keen and interested in marine sciences, sends me this brochure. I think he sensed that I was not matching with the program very well. And the program brochure said internship diving with great white sharks in South Africa.
Wow.
Now, I had never been a diver at that point, nor a confident swimmer. And shark scientist was not on my bingo card for 2012 yet. I took that email, I signed up for it, and I was like, you know what? There's something worse than doing something that you're afraid of, and that is doing something that you are not passionate about in the slightest. And for me, it was a gamble that felt worth it. And I every time I talk about this topic, especially with younger folks that are looking to do something, I always just say, take the intrepid route. You only have nothing to lose. And if you don't go out and chart your own path, you may end up walking down the road of regret. So there's been some hair-raising situations, but I'm grateful for every step.
Vic, share with us why Mr. Kuguru's work is so very important.
Well, first of all, I think as a bit of a science nerd, but not a very science smart person myself, I look at what he is doing as part of the effort to save the planet, to save the species that are out there that may hold answers to things that we are concerned about and just don't know about. And the fact that it's just cool as all get out. I think we have some video of Gibbs actually performing some of his work. It's fascinating to see him do these types of things, to be lowered into these cages, to go down and actually interact with the sharks. And I think that the fact that he is there, and I know that there are other Black marine biologists who are doing similar work in the water on our behalf, I think it's definitely worth exposing. And it's something that I think that kids would like to learn about, as well as possibly pursue as a career.
Why don't we roll that video?
We want to know why this pattern of attacks has started popping up here in the Eastern Cape.
Gibbs is worried the attacks could get even worse, like the 1957 reign of terror that swept the region.
Black December was this confluence of environment, human, and natural events that culminated in a spike of shark attacks. We are here to find out if there is possibility for another perfect storm leading to a new Black December happening.
Gibbs wants to tap into an existing network of ocean floor receivers that track tagged sharks to see how their movements are changing.
Great whites have massive home ranges, and we just don't know how they use these spaces. And that's really what we want to find out. This is the Wild Coast, this is new territory, and we are the first ones to chart it.
But the Wild Coast receivers are in areas known for powerful currents.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
We want to know why this pattern of attacks has started popping up here in the east.
I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was just going to say that's a typical day at the office for me. When I'm not in the laboratory, of course.
Gibbs, tell us specifically what your interest is. I mean, you have, I know that you're working a lot with mako sharks.
Actually, I worked a lot with great white sharks. I spent about 6 years with great white sharks in South Africa. I did my master's on hammerheads. I'm working on blacktip reef sharks now in the Maldives, and dived with dozens, tiger sharks, bull sharks. If there's shark in it, just put me in the water. That's the only kind of shark fin soup I'll accept. So my main interest is using different scientific tools to understand them. It can be for conservation or just, curiosity about what they do with their day-to-day lives.
Great. What is the big picture here for what you're doing? It's about so much more than the study of sharks. How does this affect us? Why should we care about what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And to be quite frank with you, I also have quite a bit of trouble answering it for myself. But if I have to, wake up in the morning and decide why am I doing this, or should I just, give it all up? And I think for me, it comes down to connection. It's not just the thrill of being in the water or the exploits of research. It's finding out what do I have in common with every other living being on this planet, because we take a human anthropocentric view, a human-centered view on life and reality, but we are such a small part of it. And I think when we start to think of the world as less of our territory and just a place that we're allowed to exist in for a period, you might start to see our behavior also change. Like we might have respect for each other, respect for our environment. And somehow studying sharks has actually given me more compassion for people and nature.
Kaguro, can I ask you a question, if I might? My dad is struggling with Parkinson's disease, and I have seen a number of reports on National Geographic, and I think even some of your work has looked closely at the idea that some of the proteins that come from sharks or that exist in their brains could have implications for addressing some human diseases and illnesses.
Yeah, most certainly, and I'm sorry to hear about your father. This is something that gives me hope and actually drive through my research, is hoping to actually add to the scientific knowledge base, knowledge that can be used to not just better the environment or nature, but also the lives of people. And there's been a lot of work done on the DNA of sharks. One particular study, which I'm now forgetting, I think it was in 2019, that I thought was quite fascinating, was talking about all the genes that were unique to sharks that you don't normally find in other species. And some of these genes they called them adaptive immunity genes. And they're particularly responsible for healing. And I always give the example of, have you guys seen the X-Men movies? Mm-hmm. There's a character there called Wolverine, and he has an immense capacity to heal even the most grievous wounds. And sharks also have this. I've seen sharks that have been struck by boats before who look like they are on death's door. Massive, gaping gash on their back, for example. And after successive months, that wound heals not just like to a point where it could live, but it's almost like the initial trauma never happened. And this extends beyond just physical damage. There's this, common adage that people say that sharks don't get cancer. Sharks do get cancer, but their, again, capacity for healing allows them to overcome these cancers somehow, maybe to the point where a spell of cancer was probably similar to like a flu for them. I could almost imagine. So is there a reason to study sharks beyond just the environment? Yes, it could also be the exact tools that uncover this that are also going to allow us to use things like gene therapy to cure people of cancer, of Parkinson, of ALS, of MS. I mean, anything your creativity can think of is immediately possible with the advent of science.
Vic, we got about 1:30 before the break. Vic?
Real quickly, Gibbs, tell me how much interaction you've had with other people of color like you in this field.
Well, few and far between, but growing. And I think that's also something that encourages me is that the brain wavelengths that are being put into shark research are expanding, not just by numbers, but also by horizontally, in a way that, like, the way I think about sharks is not the same way that someone in South America may think about sharks. And that's the same as someone in China, for example. And if everyone puts our brain power together, who knows what we can accomplish.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In this hour, Vic Carter, one of the nation's leading journalists, has brought a very special guest, Gibbs Kuguru, who is a shark expert, a person of color, an African American. He may be from Norway, but he's African American as far as I'm concerned. And he's our very special guest in this hour. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Football legend and Colorado coach Deion Sanders revealed he was diagnosed with bladder cancer earlier this year. He had surgery to remove his bladder and is now cancer-free.
Everybody, get checked out. Because if it wasn't for me getting tested for something else, they wouldn't have stumbled up on this.
Sanders says fans may notice a portable toilet on the sidelines this season and hopes to inspire others facing similar battles. Beyonce closed out her Cowboy Carter tour in Vegas with a surprise Destiny's Child reunion, her first with Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams in 7 years. She also brought out Jay-Z and Shabuzi, leaving fans buzzing. And 2 Senate Republicans won a special counsel to investigate former President Obama over how his administration handled Russian interference in the 2016 election. Senators Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn cite new declassified documents. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost another close game in Boston on Sunday. They went down 4-3. The Dodgers scored only 5 runs over their last 2 games against the Red Sox. They hope to get their offense back in order tonight in Cincinnati. The Angels beat Seattle 4-1. Mike Trout's 2-run homer gave him 1,000 RBIs during his 15-year career with the Angels. It was a special day Sunday for Japanese baseball fans. Ichiro Suzuki is the first Japanese-born player to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Suzuki was among 5 players inducted in ceremonies in Cooperstown, New York. The right fielder played 14 of his 19 seasons with Seattle. Suzuki, a 10-time All-Star, won 2 batting titles, 10 Gold Gloves, and had 3,089 hits. Suzuki still holds the Major League record for most hits in the season. He had 262 in 2004. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus,
The following
Ohio.
is paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Today we are catching up with Vic Carter and National Geographic's shark guru, Gibbs Kuguru, marine biologist. Gentlemen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Yes, thank you so very much. Gibbs has the most fascinating stories ever, and I really do appreciate what he does. Gibbs, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in the classroom. You're part of a series that, and have been a part of a series with National Geographic that actually puts your information, puts you right in with the kids in classrooms.
Yeah, so that program is called Nat Geo Explorer Classroom, and I didn't realize this, but I've actually been doing this for now 2 years. We come into kids' classrooms usually at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world that has an internet connection and is in a time zone where you can be awake at 10 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the United States, and we talk to kids about anything from bees to elephants to tigers, and just covering our bases with regards to wildlife and what can be learned, and not just with typical tools like tracking chips, but we have scientists showing us all the different ways of becoming a scientist in that particular field. So I give an example of scientists working in a volcano, trying to find fossils, for example, using a certain type of tool, and then others walking into a forest in India looking for snakes and all the different things that they use. So it starts to materialize also in their brain that there is a way to do it, and there are people doing this work that they might be interested in later in their careers.
Here in the United States, there has been a bit of an attack on the fields of science. Budgets have been slashed tremendously. Grants that normally would fund the type of research that you're doing are going away in some cases. Are you concerned that what's happening here in the United States will affect the type of research that you're doing, as well as the research that is vital in so many different areas of science?
Oh yeah, there's a direct impact about the budget cuts that are happening to research in the United States, and I've felt it personally because certain grants that I'm applying for are now becoming far more competitive because Americans are applying for them, where they would be only open to people that are living in Europe, where I am currently based. So from that perspective as well, I have to say, I think it's incumbent upon scientists to look at what are we telling people about the value that we bring to the table when it comes to our own research and our exploits. Because if you have people willingly taking away funding for research, that really means that we fail to communicate the benefits and the advantages that we bring from just studying things. People take for granted simple things like just running water, electricity, things that have been provided essentially through just learning and research. And I think scientists need to be louder about what we're doing, and also come to the table with a bit of humility. And I'm a scientist. And it hurts me to say this a little bit, but we need to sort of connect, be more open with connecting with people, and not sitting on our ivory tower and saying, well, if you're not here at the table, then well, we're not going to go to you. It's like we have to go to people. We have to evangelize our work. Otherwise, it just becomes our work. That's it, and it means nothing. To no one else.
I can only imagine, Vic, that not just the government cutting research, but the attack on institutions of higher learning, where Gibbs and others get their masters, get their PhDs, and do their work and analyze their research, that those challenges in terms of private sector dollars must also be challenging. Gibbs, how can we support your work?
That's a really good question. And I think the best way to support work is, first of all, to value it and share it with people. And I always try to take a little bit of time out of my week to go and look at my colleagues to see what they're doing, because if you know any scientists on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, they're probably talking about their work sometimes. And if we keep sharing the things that they're doing, which they will often post about, that's a really good way to just say like, hey, here's some really foundational work that might actually change the way you think about topic A, B, or C. And I think, from a very simple, straightforward way, just supporting us by valuing what we do. And we don't do this just for ourselves. We really want to improve the conditions under which we live on this planet. So yeah, share it. I think that's, if I have to say something off the top of my head, that would be it.
Gibbs, what about the visibility? You mentioned a little bit about many of the scientists are doing their own social media work and that type of thing. It's personal to me because of the work that I'm trying to do right now with scientists, but tell us how we can increase visibility. I mean, in order for people to truly understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, you have to be visible. People have to know that you exist. There's so many STEM-related careers out there that people simply don't know about. It's not really taught in schools. I'm working right now with astrophysicists at UCLA and with a couple of people who are doing incredible work at NASA. And most people don't even know that they exist. First of all, scientists tend to keep their head down and do their work. But what behavior needs to change in terms of the scientists as well as the rest of us in order to enhance that?
Okay, so I've actually thought about this quite a bit. I think that every scientist, when they start to study, they should take some marketing and communications courses, and everybody else should take a couple science courses, because we're at a stage where we've diverged so far away from each other, and the distance between us is so vast. It almost becomes impossible to traverse that, these days. Like I even find trouble, understanding recent discoveries done by engineers, for example, at NASA or theoretical physics. I really struggle to grasp this. And that's just within STEM. So I think at the end of the day, what it really takes is for scientists to sort of become madmen in their own sense. We need people that know how to talk about their work and be enthusiastic and compelling, with some really good storytelling elements, and a little bit of charisma goes a long way. I mean, anyone that is charismatic can tell you anything about science. And like Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example, he's one of my favorite science communicators, and I've learned so much about theoretical physics, and I've never taken a course on it. And I can only say that is a testament to his ability to speak.
And so this is not what you're doing. It's not just for those people who are in the science field. It's for everyone. And much of what you're doing will have implications so far down the road that we can't even imagine that right now, the practical applications of the type of research that you're doing.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, the work that I'm doing, it doesn't always have a practical application. Like, for example, I studied the skin of sharks for a long time. And one of my favorite things that I found while studying the skin of sharks is that they have skin cells just like us, and they have melanin just like us. And their melanin behaves almost in the exact same way that ours does. And I was like, okay, I don't know if this necessarily has like a practice. It's not going to cure a disease or change the world in some drastic way, but that's a connection. And going back to that thing, like, what do I do this for? It's like, I just want to connect. I want to find out what's out there.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, Vic Carter and Gibbs Kaguru will give us our final segment on the study of sharks. Thanks, Vic. We'll be right back.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a whole lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, our very special guest, Vic Carter, has brought a brilliant young scientist, Gibbs Kuguru, a shark scientist from Kenya, on our show. Vic's company, SciComm, has been identifying brilliant scientists, and he's been bringing them forward. I want to thank Gibbs Kuguru for being on our program today. Gibbs, thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me.
You're always welcome. Vic, I want to turn to you and to SciComm in our final segment. We've got about 10 minutes, but I want you to share with all of us how important and why this work that you're undertaking is so very important.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Jesse, again, for having me on, and more importantly, for allowing me to bring Gibbs Kuguru on right now, someone who I admire and cherish the work that he is doing in the field of sharks. It's so unique. It is so valuable, and we are learning more and more. As a matter of fact, I encourage everyone to go to the internet, Google Gibbs Kaguru, and he will have a listing there of all of the different shows that he's on for Shark Week right now on National Geographic, as well as some other platforms. But the work that we are doing right now, the first thing I tell all the people I work with is the science comes first. That's the reason that they're there. That's the reason people like Gibbs are able to do what they do. And I want them to focus on that. And one of the things that we do at SciComm is that we marry them, individual scientists, to projects that will help elevate their image, as well as benefit the public as a whole by the mere exposure to the types of things that they're doing. As I mentioned earlier, we are working with an incredible man, and hopefully we'll get him on sometime. He is an astrophysicist at UCLA, a former college football star, had a little injury, laid up in the hospital for a while. While recovering, he was watching a number of science shows and decided, oh, well, I may study astrophysics. So that's what he's done now. We were together just out in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, and he is appearing on a couple of shows on the History Channel, one with Dan Aykroyd. And we just got word that he's going to be coming back for another season. So we're really excited about that. And then working with a number of people at NASA. It turns out that one of them is a cousin of mine that I didn't know I had until just a few years ago. But this area of science is always been fascinating to me, the areas of science, I should say. And the fact that there's underrepresentation of people of color in a number of STEM-related fields, as well as visibility when we turn on the TV sets and we look at the experts, and they come on Good Morning America and the Today Show and CBS Mornings or CNN to talk about a number of different issues that may affect us immediately every single day. And what I want to do is I want to help increase those numbers. And it's, again, I want to emphasize that while my focus has been a lot on people of color, it's not just people.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Everybody.
Sorry for that. Let me just share this with you because we do have a few minutes left in this segment. It seems to me, Vic, that we're also living in a time when men and women are trying to ascertain and discern the truth. And when you think about scientists, many of whom are very serious believers, they're on a search, a trial and error method to determine their natural surroundings, their larger surroundings. And these are men and women of great discovery. And I am so admirable for you to be bringing these men and women forward who are putting in the time, putting in the research to arrive at what will ultimately constitute new truths that we will have to come to terms with. Would you care to comment on that, Vic?
Yes, and most definitely. And one of the things that I think is important is to celebrate these scientists for what they have gone through to get to where they are. I had a great conversation with a physician who talked to me about his experience becoming a doctor and going through the medical classes. He had an experience where part of the testing would be that they would line up a group of microscopes. Each one of those microscopes would have a slide in it with a different cell structure or something in there. And they would line them up. They'd have to walk through and they had to look down and see what it is and then write down exactly what they saw and identify the cell structures that they saw in the microscope. Well, a gentleman in front of him decided to take his finger and wet it just a little bit and smudge the slide, sabotaging his ability to be able to properly identify what he was seeing. And I've heard multiple stories of people who have gone through a number of different situations, doctors who did their internships at hospitals and had patients that didn't want to see them because they didn't believe that they were physicians. People who were told, one in particular, actually at the university, at a local university here in Maryland, was told that he didn't have what it took to be the type of scientist he wanted to become. And right now, he too is a National Geographic Fellow and one of the foremost authorities in the United States on bees. And so I want to help celebrate what they have gone through to get where they are. The fact that they crossed all these different hurdles. And I know this probably has happened multiple times in so many other careers as well. And so we want to bring to the forefront the fact that these scientists are out there, the important work that they're doing, tell their stories of their journeys, and allow them to grow and to bloom and blossom into the types of scientists that they really want to be, and to make the discoveries that they want to do, and have that area to be unfettered, unattached to politics, unattached to arguments back and forth across people based upon racial disparities. I think it's important for us to be able to be that voice for them and to put them in that proper position. So that's what we want to do at SciComm.
I have to remind people that I consider myself in my own way to be a scientist. Dr. King saw himself as a scientist in an incubator, a public social laboratory around certain principles that he believed were central to civilization and to human dignity. And so when I meet these men and women that you bring forward who, one, they've gone through something, but number two, they're also in search of a truth, of trial and error, of determining what works, of how we can benefit, better understanding, really, for those of us who are believers, all of God's creation in every form that it presents itself in. And so much of that truth, Vic, is all around us. And when I watch Neil deGrasse Tyson on television sharing the cosmos and his knowledge, I am just bewildered and amazed whenever we bring these people forward. I'm so proud of the work that SciComm is doing, and I want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And I encourage everyone, go to our website, scicom.net, scicm.net, and reach out to us. If you know of someone who's doing some incredible work right now in the fields of science, connect us with them. Let us reach out to them and see if there's a way that we can help them and help elevate what they are doing, and also to help to tell their stories. We appreciate the fact that so many people have already done that. And so if you get a chance, go to scicom.net, reach out to us, and we'll see if we can help make some more scientists and encourage more young people to consider STEM-related careers.
Vic, thanks for being on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
My pleasure.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, it's Moving Mountain Mondays. We're going to dive into what's happening in the Gaza Strip.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Football legend and Colorado coach Deion Sanders revealed he was diagnosed with bladder cancer earlier this year. He had surgery to remove his bladder and is now cancer-free.
Everybody, get checked out. Because if it wasn't for me getting tested for something else, they wouldn't have stumbled up on this.
Sanders says fans may notice a portable toilet on the sidelines this season and hopes to inspire others facing similar battles. Beyonce closed out her Cowboy Carter tour in Vegas with a surprise Destiny's Child reunion, her first with Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams in 7 years. She also brought out Jay-Z and Shabuzi, leaving fans buzzing. And 2 Senate Republicans won a special counsel to investigate former President Obama over how his administration handled Russian interference in the 2016 election. Senators Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn cite new declassified documents. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost another close game in Boston on Sunday. They went down 4-3. The Dodgers scored only 5 runs over their last 2 games against the Red Sox. They hope to get their offense back in order tonight in Cincinnati. The Angels beat Seattle 4-1. Mike Trout's 2-run homer gave him 1,000 RBIs during his 15-year career with the Angels. It was a special day Sunday for Japanese baseball fans. Ichiro Suzuki is the first Japanese-born player to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Suzuki was among 5 players inducted in ceremonies in Cooperstown, New York. The right fielder played 14 of his 19 seasons with Seattle. Suzuki, a 10-time All-Star, won 2 batting titles, 10 Gold Gloves, and had 3,089 hits. Suzuki still holds the major league record for most hits in a season. He had 262 in 2004. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Jackson Jr. Show Mount Mondays. The Faith Not the Fall with Reverend Teresa Horde Owens, only on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She is the president and general minister of the Disciples of Christ in Canada and the U.S. Reverend Teresa Horde Owens joins us to dive into the role of the faith community in stepping up to the challenges of being, who, and what we say we are. Dr. Teresa Horde Owens, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hello, Congressman. It's always good to be with you, and just enjoyed the first hour. My goodness.
We thought we'd mix it up a little bit today. Reverend Owens, the Gaza Strip.
Yeah. You know, as I was sitting there, I really should have sent this to you earlier, but I did provide a link to your producer, the awesome Gina Towns. There was a resolution that my denomination, the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, passed at our recent General Assembly, which is an affirmation of a resolution passed by the Central Committee of the World Council of Churches. It was a huge thing, first of all, for the World Council to name what's happening in Gaza as apartheid. And in my church, very proud of the work that was done on this, went a step further. And 2 years ago, we named what was happening in Gaza as apartheid, but we also now named it publicly as genocide. And in an era when I thought we would have, you know, we're kind of a purple church, red and blue. Some of us meet in the middle, some of us are on both ends, but we had no real opposition to passing this resolution to speak up against the genocide, the intentional killing of a group of people in terms of what's happening in Gaza. And over, as you mentioned earlier, the news, even President Trump now saying, well, that's real starvation there. You can't make that up. Other people are slowly coming to the realization that what we're seeing is real, that people are starving. The helpers, the humanitarian workers are starving and are without food. So I'm the United Church of Christ passed a similar resolution. So there are churches that are speaking up against this and saying that two things can be true at the same time, right? One can support the Jewish people. One can be against anti-Semitism, but one can also critique the Israeli government for their immoral actions and their failure to come to the table to achieve some sort of just peace. So we get lots of critiques, even from some of our Jewish friends and partners, to say, well, why don't you speak out against anti-Semitism? To critique the Israeli government is not an act of anti-Semitism. It is not a critique of those who practice the Jewish faith. It's a critique of the government of Israel. And those two things must be kept very separate and distinct. But the Israeli government must be critiqued. They must be held to account. People are dying because of their actions. South Africa has already taken Israel to the International Criminal Court, and there was a ruling that holds them accountable for international war crimes. So this is something that is just unconscionable. And no one who claims to be a moral being, I don't see how you can stand and support what Israel is doing.
I don't think it can be said any better than the General President of the United Disciples of Christ Church in both the United States and Canada. We can be for Israel and her security. We can also be for Palestinian statehood.
Correct.
We can be for dignity on both sides.
Yes, yes.
We can work to get people to the table of peace and brotherhood, if you will, our world house.
Yeah.
The idea of starvation as a weapon is beneath the dignity of any civilized nation in modern times. And when you think that three great religions have their foundation in the area, in Israel, in Palestine, in Jerusalem, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and you think for a moment that the cradle, if you will, of religious celebration thinking can tolerate starving human beings, it is beyond the pale of what we can stomach and what is decent.
Yeah, it really is. And the history even of the Jewish people after the Holocaust, right, it was never again. That was the cry. Never again. For that government to really lean into a call of anti-Semitism in order to protect its own immoral acts just really boggles the mind. That a group of people who should be trying to say what happened to us should never happen again, and then to actually be complicit in these crimes against humanity, starvation, as you say, as a weapon, it's just beyond. I have a friend I grew up with in Terre Haute, Indiana. I'll have to invite him on sometime. Alex Core. He's the son of two Holocaust survivors. He's a podiatrist in Indiana, one of my brother's best friends. His mother's done a lot of Holocaust education. And I was at his book signing in Highland Park last week, sponsored by the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And, this is a family that has suffered a lot. And while, again, he has family living in Israel, but Alex would be the first one to say that what's happening is simply immoral.
I would love to have him on. And of course, he's welcome on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Reverend Teresa Horde Owens, the General Minister of the United Disciples of Christ Church. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA 1580 Talk, we will be having more with Reverend Teresa Horde Owens.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest on Moving Mountain Mondays. The faith not to fall is none other than Reverend Teresa Hort Owens. She is the president and general minister of the United Disciples of Christ Church, both in the United States and in Canada. Reverend Owens, welcome forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks so much. It's always good to be here. It's amazing what's just happening in our world. Just absolutely blowing my mind.
Madam President, I want to say that as devastating as the images are that are emerging out of the Gaza Strip, and the fact that families are reaching out for food, and to see the emaciated bodies of children and people in that area who had nothing to do with Hamas. Let me make this clear distinction.
Right.
When I was in Congress for 17 years, I absolutely supported the security of the Israelis and the building of a homeland for the Palestinians, a two-state solution.
Yeah.
I'm not on this side or that side. I want peace, just like Martin Luther King Jr. I am making the distinction between the Palestinian Authority, those who I've worked with towards peace between the Israelis like Saab Erekat and others whom I worked with as the vice chairman of the Foreign Operations Committee, and Ariel Sharon and Benjamin Netanyahu. I've shuttled back and forth between the two as a member of the Foreign Operations Committee. I know that part of the world very well. I am not condoning anything that Hamas has done, which from my perspective is a terrorist organization that keeps the people of Gaza under a very tight, oppressive regime that includes unprecedented terror.
Yes.
But these kids that I'm looking at on television have nothing to do with Hamas.
That's right.
These families that are starving to death have nothing to do with Hamas. And the blame for what is taking place in this part of the world rests solely on the feet of the Americans and the Israelis. And I want to go one step further, if I might, Madam President, say this. It seems to me that some of our religious leaders, including the Pope and others, should go to the Gaza Strip, take the message of Jesus of Nazareth to its homeland and stand between the Israelis and the Palestinian people.
Mhm.
The hungry are fed. I know if my dad were in full health, he would certainly try.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe other religious leaders ought try. And their very presence in the Strip can also diffuse and lay the foundation, I believe, for change. We must find a way to direct this crisis towards peace.
Yeah.
Now, I want to add one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
The president of the United States playing golf in Scotland in the middle of a starvation is a shameless image. It is a disgusting image to me.
Yeah. It's shameless and it's self-promoting, particularly when you're doing it on your own property, where you're reaping the benefit and the revenue from having not only yourself, but other U.S. officials there and staying at that property. It is absolutely shameless. And to mention it as though, well, yeah, that's starvation, or even comments like, well, we've seen some babies who are hungry, but we've sent food. We know there's food on the way. Just the failure to even be in touch with the realities and to speak of it in this very superficial way is also offensive to my particular moral sensitivities. And the last time I was in Israel, Palestine was in April of 2023, just a few months before the October 23 attacks. And my church, the Christian Church Disciples of Christ and the United Church of Christ, are what we call a full communion partners. We do a lot of ministry together. We recognize each other's ministers, etc. And we have what we call a common witness called Global Ministries. And we do work together and fund a lot of good work around the world. And when we do these delegation trips, we are often visiting, particularly in Israel, we're visiting with Palestinian Christians. And we even have to be careful what we say when we're going, because there would be issues with us even trying to visit Palestinian Christians, if it were known, there are Centers for Middle East Peace and a lot of other organizations that are in touch with certain Palestinian organizations and seminaries and other groups. And we are, in fact, hoping to go back. We had planned to go in September. We haven't canceled that trip. We're just waiting to see what the situation is on the ground before we get back. But my plan at this point is to be there in mid-September for about a week. So hopefully that will happen. This idea of even the visual of faith leaders being in certain places. William Barber tells the story a lot of Desmond Tutu lifting up the fact that when religious leaders were protesting apartheid in South Africa, there were government leaders who saw these leaders in their vestments and their regalia and their sacred clothing. And, my husband, Walter, always talks about how in times of war, the king would send up the tribe of Judah first, right? The priests and the Levites send the music before. But there's something about the power of the visual of faith leaders, and particularly sacred garments. And there was a white South African who basically leaned over to a colleague, according to Desmond Tutu, and said, apartheid is done. This was a few years before it actually happened. But he said apartheid is done because they now see this as holy work. They see this as holy work.
Wow.
And they are not to be turned back. So, this is, I think, another era, another situation where we have to see this as holy work.
I think that's right.
It's no longer just making sure people can eat. It's making sure that people can live. Right. And there is nothing loving God, loving neighbor. I don't see any lines you can draw from that would sanction, what we see happening. But we really do have to see this as holy work. Maya Wiley, I believe, who's the head of the Leadership Council, I'm sure you know her, said the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights.
Brilliant.
She spoke to a group that I'm part of called the Faith Table a couple of weeks ago, and she implored us. She said, "You all have power, you all have power, the power of your faith, the power that you exude when you would stand and decide, as Desmond Tutu says, that these folks said, oh, they've decided that it's holy work. So all bets are off. And even the resolution, right, that these folks felt when they saw people of faith standing up and being unified. So I just, the opportunity for us to do something like that, which is why we've seen so many denominations even standing with the World Council. There are denominations within the World Council. The Germans have for years fought against calling what Israel is doing as apartheid, thinking, well, we can't be the people to call what they're doing apartheid, when in fact it would be the greatest of moral statements for Germany to tell Israel, we who violated your humanity are saying to you, do not do what we did. They would have the greatest moral impact, but they're so afraid of being associated with it that they won't stand up. So the World Council has moved against some communions in Russia and Germany who don't want to be associated with these statements for fear of political blowback. But proud to have been one of the people who voted for the World Council statement, and proud that my own church now is standing to call Israel to account, to name what's happening as apartheid, to name what is happening as genocide, and just to say we can't, thoughts and prayers are long past due. That's not going to get us there. And Trump really has to lean into whatever pressure the U.S. can apply to Netanyahu to call this back. His failure to do that is a moral failure as well.
So I want to say that, I join the pride of being a Christian and knowing that denominations like yours are standing up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to criticize other denominations that aren't there yet. I hope they'll get there real soon, because a genocide is what a genocide is. And in the name of Jesus of Nazareth, the name of Jesus Christ, we ought to be standing up and saying and doing something. But I do want to talk about moral failure without getting into the sordid details of moral failure. While this is taking place, of course, the Congress is completely consumed by other domestic moral failures. To see the number 2 from the Department of Justice shuttling back and forth with a convicted sex offender, pedophile, seemingly an implosion within MAGA world over the release of more sordid details and a list, and then shifting the blame to Beyonce and Obama and Oprah and to all of this. It just speaks generally to the absence not only of moral authority, Madam President, but moral clarity. How important is moral clarity at this hour?
The old adage that if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. And I think that's what we're seeing here. That smoke and mirrors, just trying to shift and detract from attention. There are people who years ago we couldn't have imagined, given Donald Trump's behaviors, we couldn't imagine that even conservative evangelical white Christians would ever have supported him. And that to me is a moral failure, that there was something else. I always say when people make decisions, they have to ask, well, what's more important? If you make one decision over another, there's something that weighed in the balance there. And I think greed, and as I always say, the low, slow dog whistle of whiteness has been more important. You'll notice that the people who are being blamed, Barack Obama, Beyonce, these are brown people, Black people, who we're blowing on that dog whistle again to detract from what's actually happening. Release the files. If people are guilty, let them be guilty. But the very idea that you would even consider issuing an executive pardon to someone who's been indicted and convicted of sex trafficking is just it's beyond the pale. In my line of work, if you are held accountable for any kind of sexual harassment or crimes or trafficking or anything like that, it's the end of your ministry. Anything to do with child abuse, psychologists will tell you any sexual abuse that has to do with children has one of the highest rates of recidivism. It's considered something that is so hard to pull people back from, or you're not even willing to take the risk that people have changed. You just end their contact. And I've engaged in adjudicating complaint cases. Both of my local, I had an elder in a congregation that I pastored where we had to deal with him being listed on a public sexual offender registry. And I've helped to build up the processes where we hold our own clergy accountable. It's just an area where people of moral principle have to be real clear. The rules have to be very clear in terms of how we adjudicate what's important. And organizations like mine have to, in order for you to have faith in this church and in this denomination, you need to know that we're pretty clear about where our moral boundaries are, and that we do not tolerate, forgiveness and redemption aside, we do not tolerate certain kinds of action, because the moral clarity has to be there, or there can be no trust in the institution. And that's where the presidency is going. There's such little moral clarity. We are eroding trust because we're not sure what we can expect or what we can hold true or how we can hold the president accountable. And if that's not clear, it's hard to have trust.
We have about 30 seconds before we come forward, and I'm going to save this question to the other side of this break. But Madam President, I want you to think during the break about reconciling the legitimate fears based upon the history of Jewish people and legitimate fears of the Palestinian people based upon what are seemingly two irreconcilable histories. Yeah. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with Teresa Hord Owens on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
Rapper Cardi B is pushing back against an assault lawsuit through her attorney, who says the case was closed years ago due to lack of evidence. The anonymous woman claims Cardi hit her with a microphone during a Vegas show, but police found no grounds for charges. And One Music Fest returns to Atlanta October 25th and 26th for its 16th year, celebrating Black excellence and hip-hop. Co-produced by Live Nation Urban, the fest features Future, Ludacris, Doechii, Mary J. Blige, and more. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost another close game in Boston on Sunday. They went down 4-3. The Dodgers scored only 5 runs over their last 2 games against the Red Sox. They hope to get their offense back in order tonight in Cincinnati. The Angels beat Seattle 4-1. Mike Trout's 2-run homer gave him 1,000 RBIs during his 15-year career with the Angels. It was a special day Sunday for Japanese baseball fans. Ichiro Suzuki is the first Japanese-born player to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Suzuki was among 5 players inducted in ceremonies in Cooperstown, New York. The right fielder played 14 of his 19 seasons with Seattle. Suzuki, a 10-time All-Star, won 2 batting titles, 10 Gold Gloves, and had 3,089 hits. Suzuki still holds the Major League record for most hits in a season. He had 262 in 2004. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey man, hey, what's up? What's that station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. If you like me, oh, KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive. KBLA.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key, my privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more. I just took a COVID test. Ugh. Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jackson Jr. show on Wealthy Wednesdays, the Faith Not to Fall, with Reverend Teresa Horde Owens. Just before we took our brief break, I asked Reverend Owens the question about reconciling histories, reconciling the legitimate anxieties and fears of Israelis, the Jewish community, and the legitimate anxieties and fears of the Arab community and the Palestinians. Reverend Owens, it seems to me that somehow standing between both warring sides is Jesus of Nazareth.
Yes, and as Christians, we have to see not only Scripture or relationships, but really the world through this lens of what I call God's limitless love. And those who are students of the Bible, if you're not students of the Bible, or even just students of history, the challenge has been those of us who read the Christian Bible, the Jewish scriptures, those two sons of Isaac, Jacob and Esau, Jacob the younger, Esau the older. Jacob was the one who really was to inherit the promise, but even Isaac was the son who came along in Abraham and Sarah's older age. Ishmael and his mother Hagar. Ishmael was technically Abraham's firstborn, although he was born of a quote unquote enslaved woman and therefore not eligible to inherit. But here are two promises that are made to two boys. Hagar is promised that her son Ishmael will be blessed. Isaac is promised as the son of Abraham and Sarah that he will be blessed, that through him the line continues. Both boys, both sons, different circumstances, are both given the promise of God's protection. And the descendants of both of these boys have clung to that promise for generations. So how am I going to tell you that the promise that was given to your father and your people by the same God who made the promise to me and my people is illegitimate? And how would I walk away from that promise from God? And in the absence of the kind of love for neighbor that Jesus teaches, we can't see each other, right? There's no way to bridge that gap. But both boys have received the promise of God. And if you believe God's promises, you're not going to surrender those. That's what we're still dealing with today. And so the Jewish people who have through history been picked up and deposited around the world, they've been conquered, they've been in diaspora forever, and then are finally given a homeland. The reality is that that homeland was given to them at the price of removing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians for whom that was also their homeland. So whose land is it? And if we don't get back to that original issue that both people were promised to survive and flourish by God, so can we not find a place where both groups of people can live and flourish? And that love of God and that love of neighbor that Christians espouse ought to be able to help us see that. And we're still dealing with the fight over who's the real child of the promise, and no one's giving up on either side. And I think that's both sides have a right to be suspicious of the other, but without looking through the eyes of God's love, they're not seeing it.
You know, I'm 60 years old, so I'm just old enough to imagine that someone out there is asking the question, what does this have to do with Black people? What does this have to do with African Americans? I'm just old enough to remember when Ambassador Andrew Young got fired by Jimmy Carter as the president of the United Nations Security Council for meeting with Palestinian leadership. The outcry was so great that Jimmy Carter fired Martin Luther King Jr.'s lieutenant, who was ambassador to the United Nations. And African American leadership never forgave Jimmy Carter for that.
Yeah.
I'm just old enough to remember when in 1979, my father said we must have a talk policy, not a no talk policy, which was the policy in 1979. And he ventured overseas after, here's the context, after the firing of Andy Young. He went to meet not only with the Israelis, but he went to meet with Yasser Arafat.
Yeah.
And he paid a heavy price for that. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. The humanity that we're talking about here, and this is where sometimes our particular faith positions, we use a lot of, Christians. It's sort of, that text in the Old Testament says, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem; they shall prosper that love thee." I had lunch a few months ago, or actually last summer, with a friend of mine from my hometown, who's also a minister, wanted to invite me to meet with one of his colleagues, and they were doing work in Israel. And as I dug a little further to figure out what they were doing, he is actually involved in the work of relocating Ethiopian Jews and other Jews in Africa to Israel. And this particular, and he's a Black man working with a predominantly white, mostly evangelical organization. I can't even remember the name of the organization. But before we had lunch, I said, hey, man, listen, I need you to send you some things so that you know the position that the church I lead has taken. And I sat across the table from a Hispanic man sitting next to a Black man and had both of these men of color, both faith leaders from communities who have dealt with all kinds of oppression, tell me that my support for Palestine humanity was misplaced because the Bible tells me that I'm supposed to be on the side of Israel. And I tried to gently open his mind and his eyes to the fact that what God is asking us to be is actually on the side of humanity, to stand for Palestinian humanity and liberation does not mean the extermination of Israel. It should not put Israel at risk. And if we can allow that both peoples have once occupied that land, and how do we exterminate one in order to accommodate the other? And neither side does it work, which is why the two-state solution is the one that makes the most sense in terms of humanity. But I have sat at tables with Black and brown people and been attacked because of my support for Palestinian Christians, or even the fact that I will say I've been to the area and met with Palestinian Christians, right? It's not just a pilgrimage to the holy sites, which I've done, which is a wonderful thing, but we're about justice and the love of God, which simply takes us where it takes us, right? It takes us where it takes us.
You know, I'm sad. I'm sad for the innocent loss of life on both sides. What happened on October 7th was inexcusable. But we seem to be caught in this vicious cycle of, okay, this is what happened to us. Watch what we're going to do to you. And caught in the middle are people in Israel who were minding their own business. I think they were even at some kind of concert and celebration.
Yes.
When their lives were disrupted. But what is taking place as a result of the behavior of Hamas are people who had nothing to do with that and are equally victimized by Hamas's treatment of them in the Gaza Strip. And I also find it somewhat interesting that the Arab world is absent in this quest for peace, largely, while the rest of the world recognizes the humanitarian crisis that it is. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, more on Wealthy Mondays with Reverend Teresa Hort-Owens.
While you're stuck in traffic,
I really messed that up.
bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights. Hey, we all got rights.
It's a classic odor tale. You've had fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest in this hour is Reverend Teresa Horde Owens. Reverend Owens, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, sir. So good to be with you today.
I get all these days. They're just beginning to they're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, thank God it's Friday.
Right.
You know what? I do want to close on this note and give you a chance to help those of us who want to reconcile towards peace. So my Jewish friends, all of them, want to know which side you're on. My Arab American friends and my Palestinian friends, are your eyes wide open? Can you see what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what's it going to take to get both of you guys back to the table? And my guest in this hour on every Monday is the author of the book, Staying at the Table. So help me here. If and when we get them back to the table, is it possible to get both sides to stay there?
I think the prerequisite for doing that is the same one that we would say to any two people or any two groups who are on different sides of the issue. And I don't even think you have to be a Christian to understand this, because every major world religion has as a fundamental tenet the love of neighbor. And so the love of neighbor is not just good feeling or warm and fuzzies. The love of neighbor in every scriptural formulation. I don't care. I used to have a big poster on my wall when I was dean of students at the University of Chicago Divinity School that basically had the golden rule in scriptural language from 9 or 10 different religious traditions. And so starting with love, let me use that Christian or Judeo-Christian value of love. If you start there and understand that we're supposed to simply love whom God has created, and love in the way that God understands it is not making judgments about your worthiness based on any particular facet of who you are, where you live. And so honoring others as we honor God is kind of the crucial thing. And we've got to be able to see the humanity in each other, even if you're agnostic or atheistic. You have to be able to see the value in humanity, or we can't really survive on the planet. And seeing the value in humanity means that there is some way in which I can thrive by allowing you to thrive. And it doesn't mean that I'm taking retribution for harm that has been done to me, in the past. If that were the case, Black people in America ought to be still rioting on every corner. We've never sought our justice because of the elimination of others. We've never sought complete annihilation of the enemy, or seen starvation and war as that. We have, at least in the United States, seen our justice come through people like Martin Luther King and your dad, who always grounded it in that Christian ethic of love and nonviolence. And every religious tradition has these same ethics. It's only a particular perspective of Islam, right, that talks about brutal retribution, etc. It's a distortion of certain aspects of any religion that leads people to think that violence is the way to exact retribution on the behalf of God. So I think we have to start with love for humanity and love for whatever it is that you call holy in order to get there, and recognizing that my humanity is really tied up with yours. If the world's not safe for you, it's certainly not going to be safe for me.
I'm glad that you left room for the agnostic, the not knowing, and the unbeliever, the atheist, which might be the majority when it comes to the actual practice of systems.
Correct.
Those who don't know, those who don't believe. And it really is the believer in Islam, the believer in Judaism, the believer in the Christian systems that are really called to step in the gap of these crises, of these major humanitarian cascading catastrophes that have profound global implications. But even most importantly, what you said, at least to me, is that there will be peace one day. It will be tomorrow, or it will be 10,000 tomorrows from tomorrow. But if there's going to be peace, if there's going to be justice, there will be the presence of love, unless we're just going to keep doing this over and over again, regardless of the religious systems. In order for us to be civilized and to get along and make progress together, there is going to be love. You will arrive at this ethic, whether you are a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, an agnostic, or an atheist.
Yeah. Because again, if it's not safe for me to live, if it's not safe for you to live and flourish and be okay, then the system will turn on me too. We have to understand this common mutuality. What does Dr. King say? This common, we're woven into a common web of destiny, a mutuality, a web of mutuality, a common destiny, or something to that effect. And what if the water's not safe for you, it's not safe for me. If I'm not, just the idea that people are having to make a choice in Gaza to say it is too dangerous for me to get food. It's too dangerous for me to go to the station where they say that I can get food, because the chances are pretty large that I'm actually going to get hit by some sort of missile or drone. The choices that we're asking people to make are unconscionable. And until we start valuing humanity, if you want to think of karma, I mean, what's that line from The Color Purple? Till you do right by me, everything you touch gonna fail.
That's what we said. We only have about a minute and a half, and I would like to just give you the opportunity to extend the ethic that we are advocating for in the Middle East to the advocation of it here in our own country within our political divisions. That ultimately, Madam President, that's exactly where we're going to end up if we're going to survive as a republic and a union.
Absolutely. And this prioritizing of ourselves above all others, the very people in our republic who want to take away food from people all around the world, who don't want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, do not understand our common interest in flourishing. We have created false divisions that make no sense in terms of any faith tradition or even any human system. Civilization only works when there is respect for the other, regardless of the political system or regardless of the faith tradition that may be laid on top of it. So failure to respect one another is step one. There is a little something that I say in the book is like, if you start with love, there's only certain roads you can go down. Love does not lead to bigotry or hate or devastation or war or discrimination or misogyny. Love just simply can't go down certain roads.
Madam President, I want to congratulate you and your denomination on the extraordinary work that you're doing to bring about peace and to reconcile warring factors in our own society and around the world. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is KBLA Talk 1580. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Until tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.